All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Magic and Mentalism Reviews, the M&M channel. I thought of doing reviews for a long time, and I put aside the idea of doing them because there are a lot of other reviewers who are doing a very fantastic job with all the new magic tricks that are coming out recently. But then I gave it a second thought and thought, you know what, I should probably put out my views on certain magic products that are out there as well, especially the ones that I think are really best, and maybe I can recommend them to you if you guys are not really familiar with some of them. Some of them you might have overlooked over the years. So yeah, I thought of digging them up from my repertoire and then trying to find out if it is worth sharing with you guys and get your thoughts on it if possible as well. So yeah, and here I am. I'm doing some magic reviews. This is going to be my very first magic review, so try to be nice to me. Anyway, the trick that I got today for you guys is very exciting. The one that I got is well. Before going into any of these details, let me explain you a little bit about what I personally like. There's a lot of great mentalism routines out there. There's some propless routines. There some really good props out there to use for mentalism. But I've always been a big fan of hard-hitting mentalism. You know, I've been a fan of routines which would hit the spectators in the head and just like that. You know what? I'm like, oh, they would go, how the hell did you even know that? Those kind of effects is always are what always have really fascinated me and caught my eye. So, having said that, the very first trick that I'm going to review today is called Unsolved by Francis Girola. If you have already heard about this effect, please close this video. This video is not for you guys. But if you have not heard about it, and if you really want to, hear my views on this specific effect, this is the video to watch. So yeah, let's go about it. So what is Unsolved? Unsolved is it's a bizarre mentalism science type of effect, that you can perform in a very well controlled environment. It's not something that you want to perform at a dinner table for your family or friends. Trust me, this would not that you cannot perform it, you can definitely perform it in any different circumstances, but just to give the respect that it deserves, I would recommend you guys to perform it in a very controlled environment. When I say controlled, make sure the mood is set right. Make sure your premise of the effect is very well communicated. The verbiage that you use when you're trying to perform the effect is top notch. If not, you're not doing justice to this trick, and because this trick is phenomenal. So, what is Unsolved? Unsolved is, as I said, it's a bizarre mentalism card trick. And it comes with a deck of 52 cards, and these are not any regular playing cards. That is what is good about it. There's been all kinds of gimmick decks. There's been all kinds of props out there, which you can probably have used for attaining a specific set of information about the audience member. But this is not about that. This is about a seance type of bizarre mentalism effect, where you would ask, or where you would probably ask around maybe one or two spectators to maybe pick a card or two, and then you divine information about the card. Sounds pretty basic so far, isn't it? But that's not what it is. It's not pick a card trick. What we've seen numerous card tricks where the magicians go around and they ask you to, like, what, pick a card, and is it a red card, or is it a black card, or is it a club, or is this? There's all kinds of fishing, and maybe sometimes there's no fishing at all. They'll still try to divine your card, which is okay. We've seen this hundreds of times in all kinds of mediums out there, TV and live performances and whatnot. At some point, I think we got tired of pick a card tricks anyway. But this is entirely different. You are asking a spectator to pick a card, but these cards have a lot more information on them that you can divine. That is essentially what the trick is, and as basic as it sounds, there's a lot more detail that has been inscribed into these cards. So if you look at it, what do you get? You get 52 different cards, as I said, 52 different playing cards, right? Two jokers, and then all these indices. If you just look at them, in a new deck order, this is what you get. But the faces of these cards have a lot more information than just the playing card index. If you just look at it, these have information about the homicide victims, or sorry, the homicide victims or missing persons in some cases. So yeah, so this is the information that you have their names on them, you have their age, you have a specific date on which they either disappeared or murdered, and also there's information about the location, the address at where they were, possibly murdered or even last seen. So, and also, you're talking about the sex of the victim. Is it a male or female? You're talking about the reason and how they were murdered. This is a little bit of a dark premise. I totally get it, but make sure that you perform this under right circumstances to take the advantage of this great effect. Now, this is what has been said in the website as well when I first got it. Because of the potentially disquieting connotations attached to this deck. Unsolved is not meant to be performed as the latest trick that you can perform for a family member or somebody at a dinner table. That's what is being claimed it. In other words, these cards should be employed under the right circumstances, and whenever you have what it takes to set the mood. Should be a pretty dark themed, immersive, theatrical experience that you want to give to your spectators. Whenever you have that scenario, take out this effect or take out these cards and perform it. So yeah, now a little bit of history. All right, so the history behind coming up with this effect for this specific deck is based upon the original cold case cards, which are really available, by the police department, the United States law enforcement. They provided these cards, or maybe something similar to the prisons and to the people out there, to find out more about the victims, to find out more about the murderers, and to find out a probable cause in some cases. So yeah, these are original cards that have been put out there by the United States law enforcement, and then based on that idea, they've built up this gimmicked deck, which looks pretty similar to the original, except the fact that these are very well made, and then the quality of these cards is exceptional. Yeah, that's the brief history about these cards. These cards are very well designed. The reason why I'm reviewing this today is because the amount of work that went into designing a specific effect like this is phenomenal, is beyond my imagination. I could have never thought somebody could come up with a system, remember, to divine all the information on the card. It could be any of these cards. There's no forcing mechanism. There's nothing that's going on. There's no funny business. It's a free choice. It's a fairly free choice, and all these cards are different. None of them are repetitive, and all these cards have different information about a different victim, on it. Be it the name, be it the age, be it the sex of the victim, and as I said, all different kinds of informations out there. It could be the cause of death. It could be the place where they're seen, their ethnicity, their initials. All these could be revealed, on these playing cards, and all this is based on just one single queuing system. I've seen for information of this magnitude, you would definitely need a lot more insights, or at least a lot more cues to find out the details, right? But at one go, just by getting your queue of like 2 or 3 numbers, whatever it is, you are going to perform a phenomenal feat of mentalism by revealing each and every detail in a structured and a layered manner. And that's what has freaked me out by looking at this deck. I was going through the booklet that I got with it, and I was speechless. I was really speechless. A bunch of different systems. Well, actually, it's just one system, but a bunch of different methods, put together in a single system where you can divine all these mentioned, information about each and every individual. It doesn't matter what card they pick. You are going to divine, all the information about that specific victim. So yeah, it's really fun. It's really, a great effect. but it does require a little bit of memory work, I would say. Yeah, but it does require a little bit of memory work, and the amount of memory work involved is not insanely complicated. Of course, there's a queuing system. There's been other methods out there in the market. If you just look at the train tracking system of Atlas Brookings, he has a phenomenal method. And of course, he's got a great anagram, divination methods, put together as well. And if you looked at Matt Mello Cyver, it's a great little system to divine any word, thought of bird, thought of an object in the room. It's phenomenal. And similarly, it's not the same system, but it's very well put together. And I should thank people at BMC Lights, who probably have worked behind this to come up with such a great queuing system. It's great, and the way in which it's designed is very, very clever. So anyway, so yeah, is it examinable? It's perfectly examinable. You can hand these cards literally to the spectator, ask them to look at it for hours and hours and hours. They cannot find anything except you. So that is what is great about this effect. So what kind of routines that they come with? Now, the routines that are really mentioned in the booklet are only 3 of them. But even though it's not limited to 3 routines, and it's limited by your own imagination, you can come up with all kinds of routines. You want to come up with routines where you want to divine a specific set of information. Also, when you're performing it, make sure that you're talking about the spectator, and you're talking about making a connection with the victim in a way when you're trying to reveal the information, because it's not about the cards essentially. It's about the connection that you're going to make when you're trying to do a seance effect. It's about the connection that you're going to make with the dead, because it's pretty dark themed effect, and you're trying to reveal it. And yeah, it's phenomenal. And if you have not checked this yet, I would recommend you guys to check it out. Yeah, the routines that they come up with is, the first one is called Otherworldly. So the first routine is a pretty basic routine that, if you're familiar with the out of the world routines, it's pretty similar in terms of divining whether the victim is either a homicide victim or a missing victim. So yeah, that's one of the routines. And the second one is the most phenomenal effect I've ever seen. It's called Empath, where you reveal several pieces of information, as I just mentioned, about this person. It does require some memorization. If you know, or if you're familiar with the icebreaker effect, there's a piece of icebreaker effect that was used to reveal a specific set of information in this routine. And it's quite similar to some sort of a mnemonical anagrams. At the same time, there is a method using phonetics to convert the numbers into consonant sounds. Yeah, as I said, this uses multiple systems to put together, but all you need is a specific set of information. It literally takes half a second to peak, and that's all it is. And you don't even look like you're peaking, and it's phenomenal. So how much is it? It is 29 quid. So 29 pounds to get it from UK. It took a few days for me to get during this COVID-19 in a pandemic, but it's well worth the wait. I am so happy that I got it, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I highly recommend it if you want to get it. This is money spent well for a trick like this. It's not that expensive, but it's a very well made deck, and it's easily going to be your 15 to 20 minute routine if you play it out right. And it really is hard hitting mentalism. And I've seen so many other mentalism tricks which get really boring, during the performance. If you're trying to fish about a lot of information, there's all kinds of efforts out there. So my rating for this effect is 4 out of 5. So yeah, it is a pretty phenomenal effect. Get it. Highly recommended.